Um, Welcome at the webinar. My name is Ronald. I am Managing Director at Floorganise and involved with a variety of shipyards that are using our tools. And I will be sharing today with you a few of the contents of these conversations and explorations we have with our customers. Here is a brief summary on Floorganise. We are serving around 30 public and private shipyards all across Europe and North America, essentially, and those entail around 20,000 people. To start off with that Connected Shipyard umbrella that we talked about, I gladly make a start with taking a brief look at challenges, ship production challenges. Because when we read the news around shipyards, especially in this time, this difficult time where shipbuilding is becoming more and more significant and important for our overall security, we see that we have quite a lack of capacity and competences to really develop our productivity. And when you walk into a shipyard, an everyday shipyard, you will come across a variety of topics that all live and breathe that what you could summarize as immaturity. Ripple effects cause delay, excessive bureaucracy, unclear production norms. The list is quite long, and there are also some clear and well understood reasons why this all happens. It has to do with backlog of work, unpredictable flow of new shipyard work coming in, but also partially it has to do with how the shipyard organizes itself. And this here pyramid will give you a little bit of an explanation on how we view this connected shipyard philosophy. And essentially, it starts with a vertical information stream, because if the shipyard is confronted with a new potential contract coming in, either a new repair project or a new construction project, one of the first questions that the shipyard will ask themselves is, where are we with the running work? And the running work obviously impacts the utility or utilization or resource loading efforts at the shipyard in total. So to understand for the shipyard if they can welcome a new customer, they need to answer the question: do we actually have dock capacity in a given week? Do we have enough iron workers? And the answer to that question comes from a bottom-up feedback loop on hours and progress. As well as available resources, obviously. This is one of the first challenges that we come across at Shipyard, and this vertical information stream that runs from top to bottom, from project or from program all the way down to process, and back again from process all the way up to the program or the yard level. That is one of the challenges that we come across at multiple shipyards, because when shipyards are faced with a new contract, they will use the details in the contract to break down the contract milestones and phases into more granular plans that are summarized in either an MS project or an Excel or a Primavera schedule. And this plan, do, check, act cycle that essentially is summarized here is broken down into more granular detail, where it is being stored in, for instance, a ERP system to handle procurement efforts, for instance, the make or buy decisions that are being stored. From an MS project file down to ERP, that's already the first level of disconnect, because you don't have the actuals of your, let's say, vendor data or the level of completion of your subcontractor. You don't have that information always in your ERP system, and therefore also not in your central project file. So this is a separate broke down list. And then for an individual supervisor that, for instance, builds a hull block, he wants to know, okay, I'm building this hull block in, let's say, 13 weeks. What do I need to do in week 1, and what do I do in week 2? That information does not come from ERP, and oftentimes this is a breakdown that the supervisor will create for themselves in oftentimes Excel. So this is already, let's say, a third breakdown that in this case is stored locally. And the downside of having that information locally is that it doesn't feed into the bottom-up reporting information stream that we ideally support, but it also doesn't give a handshake to subsequent departments that are dependent on that individual foreman or supervisor to complete his task in due time. So there is a vertical information stream that runs from top to bottom, and there is a horizontal information stream. And both information streams are relevant for what we call the connected shipyard, spanning across manual labor and automated or fabricated labor with machines, so machine labor essentially. So we see that in order to bridge that gap between operations and the office and shop floor, there is need for what we call an MES system, so a manufacturing execution system that can schedule, plan, and control not only the machine labor but also the manual labor, and feed into those vertical and horizontal information streams. So essentially, the connected shipyard is what we are accommodating through Floor to Plan, where you see that all the specifics of an individual shipyard. So what do they have under their roof? What is the logic for this particular shipyard in regards to their make or buy decision, their production norms, what type of information is specific, and that specific information is captured in value streams in a library as a basis for Floor to Plan to be supporting the everyday activities. So if we have all these resources and all this shipyard specific logic into our system, then we can subsequently start feeding into not only project level controls, but also all the way down to the task level, including, let's say, digital work packages. And we are capable of doing this because we are tying this information into existing IT systems within the shipyard. So a complete plan, do, check, act cycle that is taking place within this shipyard, and that is also replicated in our software that is in exchange with existing systems. So the result of this MES system in place allows for everybody in the shipyard to take a look on what's going on in production through their own lenses. So if they are a project manager, they are obviously interested in all the levels of control across all the shipbuilding phases. But if they are, let's say, working in the assembly hall, they only are interested in activities for the assembly hall, but then for all running projects in their respective shops. We make this all feasible and available through a connector layer. And this connector layer talks with all the IT systems currently at place in the shipyard. So that deals with ERP, with engineering, with project controls, with your HR, with your payroll, and also with your sensor data. So we can therewith provide the shipyard with a truly connected shipyard as we are combining all the information streams that take place within production. And we do this through a rolling wave method of planning and control, which I will explain a little bit later. So if we take a look at all these distinctive shipbuilding phases, then in all these individual phases, there is a different set of information that is the focus point. The focus point of people in production that want to understand what do I need to complete today and tomorrow, and also next week. What are my dependencies, and how am I performing, and what is coming towards me? So we are serving this information need also through what we call a digital work package. So a digital work package essentially is a summary of activities that are in conjunction with each other, that need to take place in the here and now, and that contains also digitally all the documents and status information required to do the work. Obviously, depending on the phase, that information in that digital work package is different. So from the design and engineering department to do their work, they are required to understand the requirements and the specs. The output of that process might be an engineering model, they will orient themselves to engineering need data. So the production need data, for instance, for specific engineering drawings. And then we integrate in this particular phase with a PDM or also an ERP system. In the panel construction phase, the output is more about the prefab status. It's important to understand material availability, and we integrate with similar systems as in the previous phase, but also with PLCs, for instance. And the same for hull fabrication. Interested in the prefab status, the output is progress that we provide in subsequent stages of production in order for them to understand which material items are coming towards me and when will my materials arrive and what's the impact of that particular arrival moment. And for block assembly, we are interested in, let's say, what can we do with pre-outfitting? Do I have sufficient floor space to accommodate this block assembly in this given time slot? We are interested in a transport moment and how the hull block is transported across the section floor, but also maybe to the paint shop. And so given the individual phase, different items are relevant. And we are making those information streams available through these integrations. And the integrations are summarized in the previous slide, and it can be anything and also something that we accommodate per shipyard. That concludes my initial introduction of this particular concept, and I will show you this in a live demo